In the first two videos, we looked at the mesh topology and covered what can deform well during animation. However, there is a problem. Just because you think it will deform nicely doesn't mean it actually will. What's needed is a quick initial test rig that can be used to pose the model to see how things look, while still allowing for any geometry changes to be made. Now, rigging can be, and usually is, a complex process, but Blender does include some tools to make basic test rigs fairly easy. Let's find out how. Here's our model, still at an early stage, and still using the mirror modifier. Even so, it's not too early to start some basic deformation testing. Fortunately, Blender has a built-in modular rigging tool called Rigify, which is perfect for the job. On adding the main human metarig, we scale it so that it mostly fits the character and then apply scale. From this point on, all adjustments are mostly done in edit mode. While moving all the bones into position in edit mode is possible, there are faster ways for some adjustments. Looking at the arm, you would have to rotate and move each bone in order to get it to match the model. A faster way is to actually use pose mode, which will allow you to rotate the whole arm as a series of connected bones. Make sure the X symmetry is on so that both arms move and you can see the model in X-ray mode. Once rotated, it is then very important to select all bones and from the pose menu, apply the pose as rest pose. This will make sure that the default starting position of everything is the same in object, edit and pose modes. Now finer adjustments can be made in edit mode. Always keep in mind when X symmetry is turned on or off to make sure you are keeping both sides in sync unless there's a reason not to. Also, be aware that the setting is independent in both pose and edit modes. Turning symmetry on one doesn't turn it on for the other. You must manually toggle it in each mode. Using pose mode can be a great way to initially position the fingers. Generally, you will want to be in local space orientation in order to move and rotate the bone chains in a single direction that matches with their alignment. Once all the big changes have been made, again remember to select all bones and apply the pose. Getting all of the fingers to work correctly can be a bit tricky, so it will take time and many generations of the rig to see if the basics are working. For the bone placement of the fingers, there's a few things to look out for. First, from the top view, all finger bones need to be in a straight line. If they are all bent in the top view, there is a fairly easy way to fix this. Go into edit mode on the meta rig, and while holding down the shift key, select each bone up the finger chain. Then change the transform pivot point to be the active element and the orientation to normal. It is then possible to scale along the x-axis to align the bones. In order to make it dead straight, press S for scale, X to limit it to the x-axis, and 0, followed by the Enter key. This will make all the bones line up with the last selected active bone. Another important factor to consider is the exact position of each bone. Compare the simple bending of a finger. The one on the right looks better than the left. However, in both cases, they are the same mesh, the same weight painting, modifiers and animation. In fact, there is only a single difference between the two. The left one has the bones at the exact center of the joint, while the right one has them lifted up more towards the top of the knuckle. By testing the rig early, it's possible to see if it's the mesh that needs changing for better deformation or the rigging. In the next video, we will take a closer look at the face and discover that topology and bone placement isn't always enough. Sometimes you actually have to modify the base rig in order to get the results you want. So make sure to subscribe and hit like so you don't miss out on the next character creation installment and I hope to see you then. Cheers.